In an age where there is a collective focus to game the end of a racing season in order to make the fight more entertaining, the SARG Superspeedway Series silences those claims. Just 3 points separate each of our 3 drivers still in contention to win the championship, and they have just one chance, one opportunity left to win it all. Who will capture it and who will let it slip? That's the question this evening. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Talladega, Alabama. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. I've got Zach Murtis alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the SARG Superspeedway Series Motorscape.News 200. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Sunwest Construction, Lucky Motorsport Solutions, Motorscape.News, and Whiplash Simcams. And Zach, it is a good day to be at the virtual track. I say that every broadcast, it feels like, but it truly is. I mean, Talladega, who can argue with Talladega from the get-go? And of course, if we look at this virtual track map here at about 5, 4, well, there we go, 3, 2, 1. This place, of course, is just ever so slightly different from Daytona. Otherwise, the racing is more or less the same, aside from we've got an extra lane, and of course, that start-finish line is just that much closer to turn 1.
Yeah, you say extra lane, and I don't think a lot of people realize when it comes to Talladega that the extra lane, obviously there's a similar extra lane on the backstretch, but the extra lane on the front stretch opens up as you enter the tri-oval and closes back up as you exit the tri-oval. So a lot of drivers try to utilize that, see how they can really set up their passes when it comes to the front stretch, and start finish line being a little bit further down makes it a little bit more interesting with the runs to the line. And I think these guys are going to put on one heck of a show for us tonight. Like you said, Andrew, the points are ever so close, and well, there's not really a better place to end it off than Talladega Superspeedway.
Before we get to points, let's take a look at the season schedule. Of course, Daytona way back when in January, and Talladega this evening. It has been a 2-month stretch of racing, and it's gone by in a hurry. And also at some points, it felt like we would never get back racing almost between Atlanta and Talladega, and then Talladega and Legacy Daytona. Those 2 weeks in between felt like forever. But now 7 races deep. As of this evening, it has been a really fun season, and this is the 3rd race here at Talladega as well. The first 2 won by Robbie Lyons and Stephen Gale. These races at Talladega have proven to be the most volatile. I think certainly Legacy Daytona was up there, Atlanta was up there, but something about Talladega is producing the most interesting winners. We have 2 of the 3 oddballs that have won. In fact, I'm trying to go back through. So Daytona, Atlanta, and New Daytona, again, they've all been won by Nick Olson. It's only the other 3 races that have been won by other drivers. So let's see, I think there's 2 weeks where it was somebody other than Nick Olson in a row. Otherwise, it's like every other race, this guy is winning races. I think based on that, we can expect Zach to kind of hope for a different winner this evening and go for a little more parity. But at the same time, when you show up in a plate style league like this and you've got one guy who has won half the schedule, you expect him to be on top. He's not on top. In fact, he is climbing from the bottom of this championship fight, 6 points back to Brandon Half. He's got to be hoping for stage points. He's got to be hoping for maybe a 4th race win on the season, which would be absolutely insane. But he could get that 4th race win on the season and maybe still lose the championship.
Yeah, I think stage points are going to be probably one of the most important things of tonight. We got 1 stage caution that's going to come out. Actually, no, we have 2, or is it 1?
1. At the completion of 35.
Gotcha. So, as you were saying, Andrew, with how close the points are, stage points, biggest thing here tonight, because it could make or break a championship. You could have Nick Olson, who's sitting 3rd right now, not get any stage points, and then he'd have to probably pull a win out and have everybody else finish way back in last place. It could be ever so close. So I think these drivers need to prioritize stage points and the race win as much as possible. Get as many points as you possibly can.
With points in mind, you see trucks are on track in qualifying. Already a handful of them have gone. In fact, 6 trucks have times in. So far, Nick Olson with the most wins of the season is last. of the bunch. Sean Howell will jump up to second place. He's now in the top 10 in standings. He was a standout to me at last race out at Daytona. Quinn Gingrich will come across the line with a new paint scheme for the first time this season and go P6. Indy Cassie is on track, and this is a money lap for the 72. In fact, they only get one lap here in qualifying in the SARG Superspeedway Series, so Cassie across the line will go to the top of the board, and that's important. We have seen so many poles from Lucas Cram. We've seen him start on pole so much this season. He's going to get beat out by less than 1/1000th of a second. By the way, there's no NASCAR finish that has ever happened that close. Usually you're talking about a couple thousandths. In fact, Atlanta a few weeks ago was, what, 3/1000th of a second difference. So that is rather close. Here we go, truck on track, we thought. That's Dylan Holland rolling across the line. Same with Brian Holland. I think they're just abandoning their laps because I believe that will invalidate the qualifying attempt from Dylan Holland. Still waiting on a few trucks to go. I don't think they're going to with 35 seconds left. So we have seen, more or less, all drivers that will be taking a time this evening. We can take a look at weather conditions as well. 65 degrees in the sim. That track temp, though, 102 degrees. While we always talk about this being a plate league and always on these Daytona, Talladega tracks where you don't really need the tires to be the best of condition, you don't need to get new tires every single pit stop, that will still play a little bit, a small amount, I think, into this race. For the most part, though, that should be a non-factor despite being very, very warm for a 65-degree day in virtual Alabama. Trucks are headed to the track. We've got 17 in all. Indy Cassie will lead us to the green, which is a big, big upset, I feel like, for pole position for car 72 to go up there and beat out the 44 that has been so good in qualifying this season. I think that's very, very important. While it may not mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things and how this championship sorts out, it's definitely a blow at the start to Lucas Cram. Just couldn't get that one last pole. He'll have to try and, I mean, it's not really much of a setback, admittedly. We can be honest about that, but it is still maybe a small blow to the ego there. Do want to take a look at our Whiplash SimCam's race details before we hit the grid. 75-lap race, 35-lap stage. So stage 1 will conclude on the completion of lap 35. That'll leave 40 laps to the end of the race, which 4 or 5 of those laps will be eaten up by caution. So realistically, the two stages are right about the same length. The fuel window sits about 18 to 21 laps. It could vary by 1 lap on the shorter side, 1 lap longer. It's going to be in that range, though, and of course, 3 change sets of tires. There we go. Shouldn't play too much of an impact on this one. Zach had to step away for a moment, but Zach Murtis is still here this evening. A big thank you to him for being here. And as we look at the grid for the Motorscape.News 200, Indy Cassie leading us to the green. Lucas Cram will start from second spot. Third is Sean Howell. Ben McDonald will roll off from the 4th position. Gary Sexton, race winner out at Daytona, will roll off from 5th position. Brandon Howell from 6th. He's one of our, well, he is our points leader currently coming into this evening, so watch out certainly for truck number 9. Starting from 7th, Quinn Gingrich in truck 84. Then it's Stephen Gale, who has won a race here earlier this season. In fact, the most recent Talladega winner. They were in spot number 8. Spots 9 and 10, Robbie Lyons and Nick Olson. Robbie Lyons won the first race here this season. Nick Olson won the most recent race of the season. From the 11th position and beyond, there you see Dylan Holland. You see Coley Wells making his first start of the season. A little further back, 13th, 14th, Kyle Manger, Gavin Jones. 15th and 16th, Brian Holland and Jacob McMillan. And the driver sponsoring the event, well, one of the 2 drivers, I suppose, Brett Baldick, will roll off from the very back of the grid in truck number 4. This, of course, the Motorscape.News 200. A big thank you to Motorscape coming on board this evening. And we've got some really cool partners for this season as a whole. Sunwest Construction, Lucky Motorsports Solutions, and now Motorscape.News becoming a part of the series. and joining us for this final race of the season. Zach, I'm going to ask you to call your shot now. We've got 75 laps, a stage completion of 35, an upset pole winner, and a championship battle where each driver is separated by just 3 points apiece. And it's all happening in Talladega. Call your shot. Who's winning this race?
Well, Andrew, I want to say Lucas Graham just because he's up there starting on the front row. But honestly, I'm going to back my pickup from last week, Nick Olson. I think he's going to pull one out tonight. Maybe not the win, but I definitely think he's going to be able to pull the championship out tonight. 3 drivers I would have to watch, though. Lucas Graham, Nick Olson, and Colby Wells. I've raced with Colby quite a bit, and I know how aggressive he can be. A lot more aggressive than some of these drivers out here on these plate tracks, and I think he's got a good shot tonight.
Be sure to follow along on social media everywhere that Pit Stop TV is for everything SARG and all of our other leagues. We have got just a few hundred feet before we go racing for the final time this season. Indy Cassie going to lead us to the green. Props to driver 72 for grabbing the pole. Got 16 hungry trucks behind him, though, and a few going for the championship. The intensity is ramped up. The green flag is out. The Motorscape.News 200 is underway. Up through the gears, lap 1, Brandon Houff going backwards, and as we spill onto the Alabama Gang super stretch, truck 9 going all the way to the back of the field. Up front, separation, just 5 trucks in our lead pack, and only one of them is fighting for a championship. That's Lucas Cram in the 44, who has sunk back to 4th already.
You see that top line really getting separated. You can see it on the bottom line as well, but the bottom line has a lot more trucks down there. They're going to link up pretty fast, and look at that right there. 38, Sean Howell going all the way to the top. Now it's going to be 3 wide for the race lead. Not much help going to that outside line.
Into the tri-oval for the first time as a group. Indy Cassie going to lead us across the stripe. Lap 1 goes to our pole sitter. Truck 72 clearly has a bit of confidence this evening that maybe we haven't seen yet this season. I recall back though to the other 2 Talladega races, and I do believe the 72 was caught up in incidents in both. Of course, did not win either of those races. We'll like to change that this evening and grab a race win.
Trucks right now, everyone's trying to figure out where they want to put their trucks, and look at Nick Olson. He's working himself up. He's right behind Lucas Graham. Exactly what Nick Olson wants to see right now, especially since their other championship contender, Brandon Houff, is sitting all the way back in 16th position right now. Here comes the Olson to the top, leading the charge. 3 wide once again for the race lead.
Olson might have something for the lead here if Ben McDonald can get him going through the tri-oval. It's going to be close to the stripe, and sure enough, Nick Olson leads lap 2. Just 1 lap, not led by the 24, between the end of last week and the beginning of this week so far. Oh, that 24 truck. He is just something else on these plate tracks. I don't know where he gets it. I don't know what has flipped on for him, but he has been absolutely phenomenal. Now a couple of trucks going backwards. One of those is Dylan Holland, I believe. One of those is actually, that was Quinn Gingrich and our pole sitter Indy Cassie going to the back, as we've got Disillusion up front, 4 wide. It looks like lap 3 they sorted out.
And they almost went 3 wide, just up in the top 2 middle lanes there. The bottom line is completely disconnected. What did I tell you, Andrew? Colby Wells leading that bottom line charge, and he is taking that truck to the front.
Absolutely. Truck 45. It's got a 99 on the side because, well, I don't think he was ready to coordinate his paint scheme. That's okay. Well, we'll give him a mulligan, even though it's the final week of the season. But the 99 straight to the front, along with Kyle Manger and Dylan Holland and Brian Holland. And maybe this is just my mind playing tricks on me, Zach, but in the first couple, well, really the entire season so far, I feel like the 17 and 88 have been very married to the outside lane. So it's interesting to see these two racing towards the front this early in the race and on the bottom of the racetrack. I just feel like they've been running around the top of the racetrack more often than not. So this is a difference with the 17 and 88. We'll see if it works out for them.
Are you forgetting that last week was the first race that I've showed up for this season?
Yeah, well, there is that.
And look at, this is something that's interesting right now. Nick Olson has been left to hang and dry. He's going backwards on the outside.
there's interesting dynamics in this series. They really are. And I feel like any other day of the week, these guys are just one big happy group of friends, all under the Grit marketing banner, Grit Motorsports banner. But in this race, in these races, in this lead, I feel like a few of them have a couple of small vendettas, and we saw a bit of that come out at Daytona a week ago between Olsen and Cram. And I think there's even other small ones throughout the group, but I don't think it's anything actually personal, but I think they just have little things they remember, and of course this is a kind of crapshoot style of racing. I think they let it come out a little bit and race a little bit differently, as you see Colby Wells and Kyle Manger moving around at the front of the field, but Olsen, yeah, he tends to get left out a little bit now. I think at the same time, you don't want to help the guy who's won 3 times this season because you don't want him to win, but also consider the fact that he's won 3 times this season, and maybe you should be on the nose of that truck if you want to try and win tonight.
Yeah, the big thing tonight is going to be making friends. You know, Nick Olsen, Lucas Cram. I think they want to just make some friends tonight, so that way they have some helpful people in their pockets. You see Brett Baldeck drop into the yellow line, going backwards, trying to get out of that lead pack, and that's going to be a common thing we're going to see tonight. There's a lot of drivers thinking that they see a wreck coming and they don't want to risk their truck, they don't want to be up there, and they'll just sink right to the back, fall in line, single file back there, and well, now we've still got packs racing up in the front.
Manger down low, Wells in the middle, and that's Gary Sexton way up top with help from Robbie Lyons and Nick Olsen. And the way we've kind of gauged these guys' alliances in any given week is just by looking through the Discord channels. And maybe not alliances, maybe that's the wrong word, but I guess who is working with who in a collective effort. You'll still see these guys have certain alliances outside of that, but I digress. The main point here is that Nick Olsen is in the same channel as last week with the 2 Holland brothers. And you've got a bit of a different split this week, actually, for all of the other Grit guys. I mean, you've got Ben McDonald, Robbie Lyons, Lucas Cram, Stephen Gale, Brennan Health, the same group you might expect there, but that's usually, I feel like they have more guys in their channel. They're all together. Then you've got Brett Baldeck, Gavin Jones, and Gary Sexton. That makes a lot of sense. And then you have Jacob McMillan, Sean Howell, and Quinn Gingrich. And that, I feel like, is a little bit different from races past. So we're going to see some interesting dynamics, I think, continue through this race. Of course, we've already talked about Nick Olsen getting left out to dry a little bit. I don't know that it's fully, oh, we don't like that 24 car, but I think definitely there might be a reluctance at certain points just because one thing's happened here and other things happened there. And I also think when the checkers drop later, that's it. It's just going to die right there. These guys aren't going to carry it any further.
And not to mention, look at our storylines coming into Daytona. We had Nick Olsen, who was the bottom 3 coming into this race, or coming into last race, still is for this race, but he's a lot closer in points now than he was. He gained about half of what he had on the leader, which is 12, now 6. You've got Lucas Cram, who's prioritizing what it looks like, running up front as much as possible. But at the same time, remember the little fender bender we had between Lucas Cram and Nick Olsen? I wonder if something like that is going to continue to carry over from last week into today.
Absolutely. That's everything we're kind of keeping our finger on the pulse of. You know, it's, will that be relevant? Will it not? Again, a lot of interesting dynamics. As now 8 laps are complete. If you look around your field, it's changing every single lap. Up top now, you still have Gary Sexton and the 2 of Robbie Lyons, but Brett Baldeck, who was just sinking to the back of the field, he is suddenly back up here. He is racing in the top 10, top 5, even briefly, as Sexton got a little free up top, but those 3 are really making hay on that very top lane.
Yeah, I know Sexton and Baldeck are currently in the same channel. They're working together. They have Gavin Jones in there with them as well, and I think Gavin is actually a little bit towards the back end of the field.
He is. He's just behind the 88.
Yeah, those 3 trucks not currently hooked up at the moment, but it seems like Robbie Lyons is not missing the opportunity to work with those 2 trucks, as they're the only ones that have really been making headway on that outside line.
Yeah, usually we don't see guys go up there unless we get close to maybe the stage or if we're lapping a slower truck or something like that. But these guys making good use of it, I think learning a lot as they have each week, going up there, testing the waters, seeing what they can or cannot do. And usually, admittedly, you can do very little up there. It's just the lane is not what you might hope for it to be, but they are making decent headway. Every once in a while, I mean, they nearly got the 3 clear of the rest of the field up there to where he could have dropped down, but at the same time, Gary Sexton doesn't want to just drop down and leave the guys that got him there.
Yeah, it's really difficult at Talladega to, even at Daytona as well, any super speedway that you go to, it's really difficult to say, I see that lane being faster and I want to go down there, but at the same time, I don't want to leave these guys out to hang and drive because they helped me. And that creates alliances later in the race. You know, people remember that. Drivers always think about who helped me, who didn't help me. Do I want to help this person? Do I want to pit with this person? And it's actually one thing I don't think we discussed, Andrew. Are we seeing these guys maybe want to start coming down pit road with the drivers that have been helping them and maybe try to top off before the stage or stay out the entire way?
Remember, we do have a fuel limit that forces these guys to pit. That our fuel window. There we go. 18 to 21 laps this evening, and we've got we've got a 35 lap stage. So these guys will be in just around halfway, and that's the way it's been most of these races this season. It might be a little beyond halfway, which of course bodes well for them in the final stage. It means it's a little more open to whatever these guys want to do. I think these Talladega races with this fuel allotment has proven that. There's a little more, I guess, of an open box, but for sure, it's a pretty straightforward strategy. Pit around halfway in the stage, get to the end of the stage, get fuel packed back in the truck. It's only when we get cautions that things change, as Baldeck gets in the fence there in turn 3.
Baldeck just got, I think he just got a little bit tight there in the draft and pushed right up into the wall, but it seems like no immediate damage to that truck. He might lose a little bit of help on top, but he should be able to fall in line on the bottom and hopefully keep that truck in contention tonight. And Andrew, I am starting to wonder if these drivers know they have a fuel limit, do they really want to be wasting that fuel up on the outside line or even just running out in front of the rest of these trucks?
During a lap, it's a very negligible difference. I think there is something to be said for running a full run on the top side versus the bottom. As one truck, that's going to be Gary Sexton actually dropping from the lead all the way back. He, of course, I've said a couple times he's our most recent winner. He's not. Nick Olson won most recently. Gary Sexton won 2 races ago when we went to Legacy Daytona. That's the big distinction to make there. I keep forgetting that part. But Gary dropping to the back. He got a lap lead, I think, said, I'm done here, and dropped out, which leaves things now to the 44 of Stephen Gale, or of Lucas Graham, and the 52 of Stephen Gale. And Gale actually gets a monster push, and the 16 is going to move around with him. That's McDonald, who will now lead that top lane. But I think these guys that go up to the top, Zach, to answer your question more directly, I think they move around enough that they can save enough fuel by moving around and getting off the throttle that it's not really a concern.
Yeah, I know for a fact that iRacing at least has a few things that make it very, very comparable to real life, as we all utilize iRacing for training purposes most of the time. And one thing that's very similar is the truck out front creates that pocket that everyone behind is pretty much trying to sit in when it comes to the draft. You're creating that hole in the air. Three trucks creating that hole, 3 wide.
Lucas Graham abandoned the 16. They absolutely left McDonald in the dust and swallowed him up.
It's starting to heat up, Andrew.
Yeah, we've got
going every single second.
We've got just a handful of laps until the stage break. Nick Olson now looking to the middle underneath Robbie Lyons. That might put them 4 wide. Out of turn 2, they will slot back in. Nick Olson lets the 2 car back down, but I'm impressed. These guys are really just leaving whoever's leading on the bottom. Now they move up top. That was Wells and Manger going up top.
I have noticed this a lot when it comes to iRacing, and I've seen it at every single plate track, every single super speedway. The outside line gains momentum like you wouldn't believe. See, Colby Wells just made a pass to take the lead, and now you've already got the outside line of Manger trying to form a run. The outside line just gets out in front so quickly, and everyone wants to swap back down to the bottom, but if you stay in that middle of that top line, you are going to probably go a little bit further than those guys on the bottom are.
What's interesting about Wells' trip to this lead on that particular lap was he moved up to go past the 44 with help from the 5 of Manger, and then went back down as soon as he was clear of Lucas Cram, and that left Manger to his own devices. Now Kyle Manger's in the top lane, and has left Stephen Gale, goes up there to collect Nick Olson and Robbie Lyons, and they're trying to commandeer that top side of the racetrack and move it forward. Everything just changed in this pack within the span of a lap and a half. Coley Wells down low, leading the way and commanding that bottom lane, and everybody else tried to scramble and figure out where they belong right now.
I think it's time these drivers start hooking up a little bit more. Let's cut the racing. Let's just start hooking up, getting together, because these drivers are going to be hitting pit road within the next 2 laps. And if you're running on that outside line, you want to be hooked up as best as possible for when those guys on the bottom decide that they want to take it to pit road, because you can utilize being in the draft to be able to kind of catapult yourself a little bit forward. You've got drivers on the bottom that are going to be checking up, so kind of take advantage of that. They're going to be broken up. Use that to gain a little bit of time, if you know what I mean.
Lucas Cram decides it's time for him to go back to the race lead, commands it down low. That brings Kyle Manger now to lead the top lane, and you're right, they're going to have to pit very, very soon. The pit window just opened up. I think last lap, realistically, just opened up. And these guys can pit at about any time, but of course, you want to try and run it as long as you can. You want to get as much fuel out of the truck as possible, run a bit lighter here at the end of the fuel run, and then try to put as little fuel in as possible to just get to the completion of lap 35. And you know what? These guys, I don't know how exact of a science it is for them, but if they could plan it so they run out in the tri-oval, if they're not planning to be running necessarily in the front, they could even plan it to run out in turn 4 and then just try to save that extra bit to get that extra bit of time in pit lane and try to be in a satellite group out front. I don't know how far these guys are willing to go with it, but especially if we get a caution, Zach, that could pay off really, really well if you're willing to risk it.
Yeah, and you see Brandon Half right out on the outside, 3rd lane up top, trying to make something work here. So we see drivers looking, nobody coming just yet. We saw a few drivers take a look there. It seems like everyone's just trying to stay together, do what they can. As Nick Olson is giving Kyle Manger the shove almighty to try and get back out in front. And it looks like Manger's going to drop all the way up to the top and leave Olson to himself with Stephen Gale right behind him.
Again, that pit window opened up. We say 18 to 21 laps, but it's not an exact science. They could go for 22 maybe, depending on how much they've maybe been saving in this run or getting off the throttle. Who knows? What I think was very important that you mentioned, though, in that spiel was the fact that Brandon Half was caught up top, could not go anywhere. He is now bottom lane, tucked in behind the Holland brothers, and waiting on this pit stop. And yeah, here we go. Coley Wells straight to the apron.
Everyone who is pretty much on the bottom is going straight down in. You see Kyle Manger come all the way up from the top. Everyone gets it wound up nice and easy. Nobody's sliding the tires. That's about a solid 8 to 9 trucks that they have there on pit road.
That was a fantastic job, too. Everybody came in beautifully. Wells, I think, was perfectly aggressive. He got down early, and that allowed Lucas Cram to be a little more aggressive getting into the pits. That was really well done from everybody. You see them all in their boxes now. Should be fuel only, just dump and go. Waiting on a few. Here we go. There goes Wells. There goes Cram. So Lucas will lead the charge back on the racetrack. And everybody gets down and away cleanly. The only problems are really the Motorscape trucks in the back. They lag back a little bit.
Ooh, Baldeck, I think, almost got pushed onto the racetrack right there. He might get a black flag.
Here we go. Everybody else. Nick Olson, the Hollands. And they are way down to the inside. Brandon Half in the 9. Hello. But that was aggressive. I think he passed 3 or 4 trucks there doing that.
Yeah, he had a few drivers on the hot mic talking to him about it, how he got into pit road, but it looks like everyone still makes it in clean and spick and span. Nick Olson was very aggressive, probably the one who was latest to drop out of all of those trucks. As everyone gets to their boxes nice and easy, should, like you said, Andrew, be fuel only for these trucks as well, as it looks like everybody else is starting to try to bring it back around and hopefully retake this lead.
There goes Nick Olson straight out of the pit lane. He's first to get back on the racetrack. And there you see that other group led by Lucas Cram. They'll come around the tri-oval. Here they are now passing pit out. They're passing Sean Howell, passing Quinn Gingrich. They're going to be completely and utterly lost from this draft. Same with Jacob McMillan. Is there any hope for these guys? There's Nick Olson. There's Brandon Half and Dylan Holland. They've got a decent gap, but those guys are coming in a hurry.
And now it looks like they're getting a little broken up there. Some of those trucks carried a bit more speed coming off the pit lane.
Ryan Holland will get swallowed up. And yeah, Cram's group is coming in a hurry, like a freight train. You see Dylan Holland go up there and try to block it, break it up.
Yeah, the breakup worked a little bit, but it's not going to change anything. The championship 3 are 1, 2, 3 on the racetrack, Andrew.
For a moment. A very brief moment, because Wells went straight past. There goes Gavin Jones surging past. Ben McDonald surging past. And they're going to bring Stephen Gale. They're going to bring Brian Holland. The big notable, I feel like, in this cycle of pit stops, Robbie Lyons, I believe, had some sort of issue either getting in or getting out of the pit lane. I don't see anything wrong with his pit stop. He pitted in the second group. Oh. Whoa. Quinn Gingrich, Gary Sexton, Sean Howell, Robbie Lyons all had pit stops of more than 10 seconds.
Maybe they took 2 right side tires?
I think so. Baldeck maybe even. I think Baldeck went fuel only, and I think his teammate Sexton went 2 tires.
I have an update. Robbie Lyons ran out of fuel going into the pit lane.
Wow. So our fuel window is actually tighter than I thought.
It's very, very tight. Robbie Lyons was in that second group, I believe, like you said, Andrew, and he pitted with them. But at the same time, this is like I was talking about earlier. These drivers were running all the way up on the outside, third lane, trying to see if they could make something work. Lyons was one of them. Baldeck was one of them. Sexton was one of them. And now look how far back they are from the rest of the pack.
We have updated that fuel window information. 18 to 20 laps, we'll say now. You might be able to get 21 if you're absolutely perfect, but especially after these cautions, well, after the stage caution, it might tighten that window up just a little bit more, and that's going to make stage 2 much more interesting than I thought. I know we've had Talladega earlier this season. I don't know if maybe these guys work with the setup maybe to make these guys a little more on throttle. Who knows? But that's a little different from what I expected. That's very, very close. I'm impressed as Indy Cassidy goes purple.
You want to talk about stage points here, Andrew. Lucas Cram, Nick Olson. They're leading the charge right now. They both just jumped up to the middle lane. Still even open for Colby Wells on the bottom. He's got 2 trucks with him.
What did we learn last week? What did we learn last week? That this can get messy going for stage points. What are these guys doing?
Going for stage points right here. You see Brandon Howe. He is at the back of the middle line. Nick Olson has jumped to the top. He's separated from Lucas Cram. Here we go. 3 wide, 3 by 3. By 3, I believe. If Stephen Gale can fall in line, no, he's going to drop to the bottom, bring Brandon Houff with him. That leaves only 2 trucks in the middle. I don't think Brandon Houff knows where he wants to go at the moment. He's trying to find which lane he thinks is going to serve him best. Oh, contact!
There they go. Nick Olson, Lucas Cram, and more. Indy Cassidy is in it. They have a fast fix, but this now takes that mulligan off the board for a couple of these guys. I think most notably the 44 of Lucas Cram. He took a couple of big shots there.
I want to give massive credit to Nick Olson for realizing the situation that was happening, and he locked the brakes down to give Lucas Cram the ability to try and hold on to that truck. Very, very heads-up driving for Nick Olson.
Lucas Cram going to pack back up with these guys. I just mentioned these guys. Yeah, I was bound to say again, these guys are matching the energy of what we saw at the end of stage 1 last week, where we had some big drama between the 44 and 24. They were matching the exact same energy, moving around, making some dodgy moves, and making some blocks. And you know what? It worked out beautifully for Lucas Cram when he made that block. It just reminded me of it when he made that block to go to the top side in front of Nick Olson. When the blocks start getting thrown, when these guys start getting more aggressive, this is the kind of thing that happens. Now, let's take a look back and officially see what happened here, Zach. I didn't really notice it at first, so we'll get a good look here.
You see they're running 3 wide right here. Kyle Major on the back bumper of Nick Olson. Oh, McDonald came up, got into Nick Olson. There you see Olson locking it down.
Cassie got that get.
Doesn't look like Cram got too much damage. Maybe a little bit of right rear damage on the bumper, and I did see some side damage, but it looked purely cosmetic. Take another look at it.
On board of Indy Cassidy, the 14 or 16 rather. He just moved up the racetrack. I'm not sure exactly what was going on. Indy Cassidy, I mean, he used the wall, but fantastic job of limiting what that could have been for the 72. He's got a lot of damage to the right front, but it could have been a lot worse.
It could have absolutely been much, much worse, especially if Lucas Cram came up the racetrack like I thought he was going to, which was going to be head on into the wall. You see on board with McDonald.
This is going all the way back, and we're even going to go in car, in the helmet here with McDonald. Watch his hands Let's try and theorize a little bit about what's going on for him. So he's following Cram through the tri-oval. A little behind of the steering there, and I think he got off. I think he saw that he got Lucas a little free and backed off, but also got behind of the steering even more. And it's the tri-oval. You wouldn't think you need that much wheel in it, but you do have to be precise. And I think that was just a lack of precision that particular lap for the 16. It happens. I think we've all done it at some point and turned somebody accidentally, but that just looks to me like a general lack of precision through the tri-oval. That, or maybe he was trying to make a lane in the middle, I don't know, but without talking to him, it's hard to say. Just looks like he got behind and got Lucas a little free and tried to give him room, and that, in turn, caused the crash.
Yeah, just an unfortunate scenario for all of them right now. And still a few trucks on pit road right now. Fixing damage. Nick Olson being one of them. And you can see right here on board with Nick Olson.
Yeah, this is what you were talking about, them locking the brakes down.
There it is, and boom, brake lock right here. You can see the RPMs drop. He's downshifting. He's trying to lock it down. He did not want to hit anybody. You got to think, Andrew, last week had to be going through his mind in that scenario. He did not want to get involved in something else, just like he did last week, and I think he did a really good job being heads up on the brakes there.
I hate that once again, this guy who's won 3 races is kind of on his back foot, but at the same time, the truck looks okay. He didn't take a fast repair. In fact, nobody's taken a fast repair yet, which is good news, especially when you consider the damage that the 72 collected. Even the 44 of Cram looks pretty okay.
Just about to comment, Lucas Cram looks like he's pretty much got that truck back to where it needs to be. He had a little bit of right rear damage just underneath the spoiler, right on the bumper. It's nothing that would really affect him long term, but it was pretty easy to get it fixed. We see the 72s of Indy Cassie still on pit road. I think he towed. There he goes, out and away. Almost a full 2 minutes in the pit lane.
No tow, thankfully. Just over 2 minutes in lane time, and yeah, nearly 2 minutes repairing the truck. Kyle Manger going to lead the race now as we work under caution. We're going to have about 7 laps of green flag racing when we go back green. We should double up this time and give them the 1 to go signal, I believe.
See a few trucks on pit road topping off on fuel there, Andrew.
Yeah, you have to. Absolutely have to. There's McMillan. Holland doing the same. Both Hollands, actually. Brian backing back into a stall. McDonald pitted under this car. Well, this right last lap. Olsen as well. You have to get as much fuel as possible. And I don't know exactly. If it goes green, they're not really changing much because they're going to come back in and top off at the stage. But maybe you can hope. I don't know. That actually might not have been a super effective pit stop, now that I think about it. I think later in the race, when you don't have a stage break to worry about, it would be effective.
I was going to say, it does make a lot more sense to stay on the racetrack right now, get that track position.
Yeah.
Because everybody's good on fuel right now. Every single truck on this racetrack is good on fuel. We had multiple drivers take the pit lane under caution. We've got multiple drivers who stayed out, but they're all probably clutching, saving, doing what they can to hold on to what fuel they have. They'll make it. And everyone's going to pit under the stage caution, or at least 90% of the field will pit under the stage caution. Do what they can. If they've got a strategy for how the green flag stops are going to work out for the rest of the race, then I commend them. But see how the stage caution plays out.
Well, you know, here's a potential rationale that I doubt is maybe, I honestly doubt it's on their minds, but a possible rationale is maybe that they feel better with the extra weight on the back end of the truck. They want to get the tank full of fuel just so it handles a little better to them. Maybe when these guys wear the fuel off, because considering it is already a light tank, what, 62% I think, it's already a light tank of only 12 gallons. Maybe they want to make sure they have all 12 gallons in the tank to weigh it down, even tuck the spoiler maybe a centimeter out of the air. I don't know. I don't know that it's going to be that exact. It might just be they want to be in the back for the restart. But we are going to have 7 laps to go when we go back racing. Manger out front. That's Jones up top, then Gale, then Houth. He is the top championship driver. And let's go back racing at Talladega. Gavin Jones, the early jump as we work onto the backstretch. The Alabama gang super stretch at Talladega Superspeedway. The middle lane making progress here. They're going to bring the 9, going to bring the 3, maybe even that 99, the 72. There's a lot of energy there. Wells going to go up high.
Yeah, they had a big stack up on the outside line on the restart, almost a full truck length from the leader, but it looks like they got everything hooked up the way they need it now, trying to make some headway, but it looks like the bottom line is going to be the one that gets hooked up and moving forward. Oh, look at that, Major jumps to the top, and it
Cassie
looks
way
like,
up there.
Oh my goodness, Nick Olson, Lucas Graham, they're really making some headway here. They're trying to minimize any points lost to Brandon Howe, and they're only separated by about 3 trucks.
6 laps to go on the stage. That's lap 30 underway. So take an index now of where these guys are for the stage points, right? If you look at the top 10, Graham in 10th, Olson only in 9th, but Brandon Houff up there, points leader, is in 4th. He'd be collecting 7 stage points right now if things hold. And now the 22 is on, or 24 rather, is on the front bumper of the 44. How's that going to work?
Yeah, Cram jumped straight to the top, and I think Olson realized the stack-up was coming, so he jumped up to the top as well. Looks like they're going to have another truck join them, leaving Brandon Howe.
That's a 3.
Gary Sexton leading the charge on the outside line, bringing Olson and Cram with him. This is a big thing that drivers need to remember at these super speedways. Do not push the pusher. Give him a bit of a shove, but don't push him, lock bumpers, or anything like that. It's going to upset the truck, it's going to upset the lead car, and well, you might just have to make one on your hands by the end of the day.
Brandon Houff right in the middle of this. That top lane starting to gain some momentum and move forward. Sexton with the push from Olson, with the assistance from Cram. They're going forward now. The bottom getting left behind as Manger and Houff take to the lead of the middle lane. Gavin Jones, yeah, there we go. That's the move from the 9 we were waiting to see. There's Calamity in the back. Indy Cassie, Lucas Cram all over, and Cram is going to the back.
This is not what Lucas Cram needs, especially with his 2 championship rivals locked in, closing in on the top 5. It's Nick Olson, but Houff still leads the charge on the bottom. This is going to get tight here, Andrew. We've got 4 laps to go in the stage. Olson drops to the middle, leaving Sexton to hang and dry. And then Lucas Cram needs to make something happen here. He has got to get these trucks to hook up and move forward.
I don't think he will be. I think this stage might be a wash for the 44, which is going to put him completely behind the mark unless something big and drastic happens out front. When we get back to the stripe, it's going to be 3 to go in the stage. Moving around is the 5 of Kyle Manger. All around the racetrack.
Well, he jumped to the top.
Yeah.
He's got Nick Olson and Robbie Lyons, Brandon Houff, Kyle Manger back up to the middle line. You talked about them being aggressive, Andrew, but my goodness, this is turning into quite the storm.
Brandon Houff, points leader, comes in with 3 over Lucas Cram, 6 over Nick Olson, and he's looking to extend that lead in this stage unless something changes. There goes the 5, back down to the inside, and that opens up the window of opportunity again. Can Brandon Houff maybe win the stage? Can he get some help here from Dylan Holland and go forward? Manger not going to block it that time.
You got to think, these drivers who are leading all 3 of these lines, Manger, Houff, Wells, they've got to be mirror driving right now. They've got to be seeing where everyone's going, where the runs are forming, where the moves are happening, and figuring out if this is the line they want to stick with or if they don't want to move from where they're at. You see Kyle Manger's tipping that truck's nose back out in front, but Brandon Houff is trying to make something work. Look at
Dylan
that.
Holland just left him. McDonald now going to pull up contact between the 9 and the 12. Now McDonald's a great pusher, but is this maybe a little too late? No, not at all. They got going quick.
2 laps to go in the stage here, Andrew. Nick Olson is locked in up on the outside now, nowhere to go. He has got to find a way to get around Brandon Houff. He can't afford to lose any points to him right now.
The 24 is 3rd in line up top. That's roughly 9th position when they pay points. Maybe 8th as he currently stands. Now moving up a little bit, but there is just... he's got to go somewhere as Houff is going to go down to the bottom. That's a big move. He's going to go backwards. I would not want to be in the bottom coming to the white flag of the stage. I want to be in the middle. That's where you're going to make the move from.
Yeah, I don't know what I would say about that move, but Andrew, Lucas Cram has made his way back up inside.
In the lead back.
Top 10. He's in 10th right now.
White flag, stage 1. He is inside Nick Olson, right underneath the 24 truck, and maybe moving forward. But if there's a crash this lap, he is in the middle of it. There's no missing it if you're the 44. I'm hoping I'm not jinxing him here, but he would be in the middle, as now Nick Olson is out of the points in stage 1.
Yeah, that's the risk you have to take, Andrew. You have to go for it. You have to make something happen. Stage points are important here, and Brandon Half looks like he's ready to come home and take as many stage points as he possibly can.
There are so many trucks between the...
Major to the top.
I think the 5 is going to win the stage. It's going to be a drag race through the trioval. There's a turn. Wow, Olson's in it. Lucas Cram is up top. That's caution. And Manger, I think, is going to win the stage still. But Brandon Half is going to take 9 stage points. Lucas Cram with 6. The gap now for the championship is 6 markers. Nick Olson is lucky to even make the top 10.
He's got some major left side damage on the front of that truck, Andrew. Look at that nose. It is not exactly looking the best for Nick Olson at the moment. We had a few other trucks get involved in that one as well. We're going to see where everyone cycles through.
There we go. That's
like Olson did get 10th.
That's a decent view of the damage. Looks like he's going to pull back ahead of Lions now. A decent view of the damage there on the left front.
Shouldn't be towed out or anything, but he might have some significant aero damage. You can see the front end on the left side, just above where the steering wheel is. You can see how it's bent up just a little bit.
Hold that.
And that might affect him in terms of being able to cut through the air. I think Nick Olson is going to be the pusher the remainder of the night.
So stage 1 complete. Take a moment to catch our breaths again as the iRacing.com pace vehicle has caught up with the field and taken lead of the field. Let's go back and look through what just happened. Stephen Gale got turned around. It was Sexton who came up into the 24 through all of that crash, and that's where Olson gets all of his damage. Let's go back a little further and see what sparked it all with the 52 truck.
See, they're 3 wide back there. Lucas Cram in the middle. One of the Holland brothers out there.
Watch that red and white truck.
Stephen Gale gets a shove right there, and the stack up is what causes the turn.
Quinn Gingrich just ran him over. I mean, it's plate racing. Like, this stuff happens, but to put it frank, to put it bluntly, the 84 just ran him over.
Tends to be the case most times when it comes to plate racing.
Well, and these guys are coming to the white flag of the stage. Like, it's difficult to tell a racing driver to lift, and he can't see much beyond the spoiler of the 52, so he doesn't really know what's going on up there, and just gets to Gale, and that shoves Gale into a bad spot and causes this crash. I mean, it's, again, this kind of thing happens. It's not something to sit here and rag on Quinn about, but it does greatly affect this stage, especially Lucas Cram on the top side just gets past it. And he's going to go from finishing 7th or so. Well, and this wasn't even white flag. This was to the checkered of the stage. That's a good distinction to make. He was going from like 7th or 8th to 5th, and that's big as far as keeping Lucas in this race, in this championship. There's technically mathematical hope still for the 9, or for the 24, rather. But I don't personally have a whole lot of hope right now for the situation Nick Olson's in.
Yeah, Nick Olson just now pulling off pit road. Every single truck pitted under the stage yellow. And it seems like Olson has gotten most of his damage fixed. That truck looks almost brand new as he makes his way onto the racetrack. 15th right now. You've got Lucas Cram sitting 3rd. Brandon Half sitting 9th. If the race were to end as it stands right now, I think Brandon Half would still be the champion, if not Lucas Cram.
Well, let's talk to him. Let's bring in driver of the 9, Brandon Half, who is actually going back down pit lane. Brandon, an interesting situation here. Of course, you're 2nd of the stage. You already had 3 points coming in. Make that 6 now on Lucas after the stage, and you're obviously coming back in, topping off. But you gotta feel pretty good, right?
Yeah. I don't know if pretty good is the word, but I'm feeling a little bit better than I did about 30 minutes ago. Now it's still gonna be tight. You know, Lucas was having some technical issues, and I know Nick got caught up in a wreck. So, you know, it's kind of, I feel like it's mine to lose now, but you know, it's plate racing, so you know, we've been racing hard the whole time. You know, I didn't start going until about, I don't know, 7 to go, 8 to go that last stage. So plan here is just to try to stay out of trouble and hopefully, you know, be around at the end. I know if it's 6 points over Lucas, I mean, that's pretty comfortable. It just means I can't get wrecked and he can't finish up front. So, you know, it's going to be nerve-wracking because Lucas has won every championship here. So, man, I want it bad. So we'll see what happens here. I'm just going to hopefully take my time here, be patient, and hopefully I'll find my way to the front.
Well, we'll let you focus up and kind of calm back down here before the restart, but it's good to talk to you, Brandon. Congratulations thus far. Pretty good race. Keep that up.
Yes, sir. We're gonna do our best here.
Usually I'd be saying congratulations to the stage winner. The stage winner, Kyle Manger, not in Discord this evening. So that kind of threw me for a spin. I was expecting to congratulate Brandon on something. I guess on having the points lead after 6 races. He's done a fantastic job. And we are 1 to go, 1 to green, I should say. 4 trucks are doubled. That's 2 rows. Everybody else is in a single file lane. And as we move past halfway in this race, got half down, half to go. Now, the fuel window is going to be a little bit modified. We'll talk more about it once we get green. Up front, it's Ben McDonald inside, Lucas Cram outside, Kyle Manger inside, that's your stage winner. Then Gary Sexton outside, back into the restart zone, and green flag once again in the Motorscape.News 200. Robbie Lyons quickly to Gary Sexton on the top side. Those are the only 2 trucks up front that are not in a single file lane wrapping around that yellow line. Now you see the 99 of Colby Wells getting up there. The 4 of Rhett Baldeck somewhat close. Sean Howell dips back down to the inside. And Brandon Half, who currently has the championship lead before our unofficial results would be figured in, he is all the way back there in 10th spot. Lap complete from the restart. Lucas Graham down low leading with all of that door damage from all the dings he's gone through so far. Truck looks good though, all things considered. Ben McDonald pushing him. One of the best of the series at it. And Gary Sexton right back to work with the 2 on the top side. They clearly have some trust in one another. Sexton clearly trusts Lyons. Lyons the same towards Gary. There is clearly a level of teamwork, even if they're not in the same Discord channel. Clearly they trust each other. Been interesting to watch that particular dynamic, that particular duo, I guess. This time by 35 laps to go. That was the length of stage 1. It's a little bit longer here in stage 2, and Zach, that was close.
Sexton almost, that could have been a major problem for Gary right there. It could have ended very, very poorly.
So if we talk about the stage length, right? 35 laps in stage 1. We just hit 35 to go in this stage. We've already been racing for a couple of laps. In fact, this is what, lap 3 of the stage that's green, and we had a couple of caution laps prior. This puts these guys right on the edge of making it.
And you see Holland taking Nick Olsen all the way up to the front there. They decided to jump and leave Wells and Lyons to their devices. Well, it looks like they're not exactly making any headway now. I think they might fall in line here. You see Nick Olsen already taking the look. He's going to leave Holland all the way up on the outside line. And that still puts it about 3 trucks in the middle. Now it looks like they'll all get single filed back out. Back to 2 lanes of racing, Andrew.
Gary Sexton with the lead across the stripe. 2 laps to go. I was talking about how the 3 and 2 were working so well together. Now they're split up. The 3 down low, the 2 up top. And Lucas is getting that 3 truck a little squirrely in turn 2. Now the 3 moves up. Yeah, I think there's more comfort there between the 3 and 2 than we realize. I know they split up for a couple laps, but they look so confident together. That might be a duo to watch out for the rest of this race. Back to fuel, though. I really do want to punch in on this one. These guys are on the edge of making it to their pit stop number and then to the end of the race, where if we go into overtime, we're going to have to see these guys pit. There might be somebody who tries to stretch it if we do get an overtime caution, but if we go green all the way to the end of the race, there we go, and then get a caution, they have to come in for fuel. It's going to be that close. I'm even worried that we could see a driver or two run out at checkers if this goes green.
I think your math is pretty spot on. Kyle Major got very loose back there. Sexton has moved back up to the top. Ooh, that is close. Sexton, big wiggle. Nick Olson to the middle. That could have ended very badly for Gary Sexton. Again.
Robbie Lyons will remember that, because that was Nick Olson that just shoved the 2 truck to try and get him to the side there of the 3, and that's what just forced that whole situation.
If I'm doing my math correctly, as it runs right now, Nick Olson is the leader. Brandon Houff is 14th. This would be a tie. No, Lucas Cram would currently be the championship leader.
Yes. Yeah, Cram would be champion for sure. Cram would be champion for sure right now. Olson is kind of in a must-win and then you must crash.
He is sitting, if I've done my math correctly, 14 points collectively behind Brandon Houff. Houff got the stage win. Houff finished 2nd in the stage, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So that would put Olson 13 points behind. Cram finished 3rd in the stage. That would put him 4 points behind. Cram right now would effectively be your champion if the race were to end as it runs.
And when we figure in these numbers, at least me, I don't have the brain capacity to figure in bonuses. I'm going off of I'm going off of just finishing position of the stages. So it's roughly, it's very unofficially 6 points. I think the 9 and the 44 both led laps. I'm not sure where it comes down to for bonuses, for most laps led or anything like that. Colby Wells, though, adding to basement in turn 3. But right now, I think we can confidently say that if it finishes the way they run, the 44 win the championship. The 9 has to do exactly what he's doing here. Save fuel, run in the back, miss whatever crashes may come, and just try to win at the end! Oh, Nick Olson just took the front bumper off of Colby Wells and nearly paid the ultimate price for it. I'll be honest, right? I do my best to stay unbiased, and I am unbiased here, but I will say, Nick Olson, the 3 wins, he's become relatively likable. He's taking some chances tonight that might just tick a driver or 2 off. That was a very close call. And the more and more of those that come along from Nick Olson, the more and more blocks that he makes, the fewer drivers will want to effectively work with him and move him to the front. And he has to win this race at this point, and he has to hope the 44 finishes in the back, just like the 9 currently is. He's not making it easy on himself.
Not to mention, that directly affected one of his championship rivals, Lucas Cram, who he has some issues with coming in from last week, and I think we full well expected this, Andrew. The game of self-clear has been very apparent tonight, and it's going to end up biting one of these drivers in the booty.
And again, especially the 24, 44, the 2, I mean, these guys are all friends. I think this is the one night where they get a little spicy with each other. Oh, crash there! Holland, where is the 9? Where is Brandon Houff? Does he get through this? Yes, on the bottom of the racetrack, as we've got cars everywhere. Sexton involved. Howell, I see Holland, McMillan, Lyons, all slow.
This sets up the fuel run to beat the bands now. Everyone's going to be forced to short pit.
They'll all have to pit. Well,
see Brandon Holland there.
They'll all have to pit one more time, so it's kind of split option here. If you want the track position, if you're Nick Olson, Indy Cassie, maybe you stay out. Otherwise, the other guys, I think, all pit. Let's take a look, though. That was absolute calamity. We had to go back and see if the 9 made it through. That was, I think, the most important catch of all of that. But let's check out what happens here with the 17 of Dylan Holland. He's that green truck in the middle. Oh, the white and green Toyota right there. Second in line in the middle. Watch him. He goes up.
Oh.
Just said it. Self-clear.
It was bound to happen at some point. It was not a matter of if, only when.
So on board then with Gary Sexton.
He's riding a fine line up on the top. He's holding it steady, and then, there it is.
Just...
The spotter, I will say, in iRacing can be very finicky sometimes, and it more than likely called clear. And Dylan pretty much thought that he was clear and went up to take that line away, and it ended up closing about as quick as it opened. And you can see right here, just the quick movement. You have to think that the iRacing spotter said clear, and Lucas Cram took a hit right there.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know how that's going to affect him. As we see trucks starting to go to pit road, everybody's taking to the pit lane right now.
Howell and Holland have immediately taken fast repairs. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, Indy Cassie's also taken one. I wouldn't be surprised here if Lucas has to take one. He got hit hard. Howell was way down here, so he's already taken his repair. There's Holland. All as it developed. Let's go on board though with Lucas Cram. We're gonna have a few onboards for sure. Onboards galore in this one. Lucas Cram just gets hit, and great job at hanging on to it. You see everybody crash in the background. He got hit hard.
This is a surprising turn of events as we see trucks leaving the pit lane. Lucas Cram is not taking a fast repair. And considering the hit we see, you see it right here. Look at that. You see the truck just get pushed sideways.
I want to take one more look. This will be on board with Dylan Holland. That is very interesting, and I think he's banking on the fact that it's still Talladega. There's still over 25 laps to go.
I would be the same way.
Yeah.
Hold on to that fast repair as long as you can. If you don't think the truck has got too much damage, then hang on to it. See 17 of Dylan gets that truck locked down. And
I lied. We're going to get one more.
You've got so much time left in this race. I don't think it would be smart to think fast.
This will be the best look of the hit to the 44 right here. Boom.
He hit him square. Yeah, no, I would not take a fast repair on that one either. Absolutely.
My concern is not at all suspension, because you can overcome that on a super speedway, at least to a point. As long as you're not roasting tire and just absolutely slowing yourself down just because of a matter of friction. But I wouldn't even be concerned about suspension. I'd be concerned about engine. The iRacing engine damage model has always been a bit finicky, as you said, actually. It's always been a little bit video gamey, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because, of course, it's a computer game at the core. They've got to simulate it somehow. And there probably is a little bit of truth to getting hit in the side. Probably would affect the damage a little bit, because you are getting hit pretty hard, and these are finely tuned motors, but it sometimes has been a little bit exaggerated, and I feel like getting hit in the side more often than not really can damage the truck. Now, I think that's also been fine-tuned a bit more to kind of cut back on that, because I think sim racers in general have been a little bit frustrated with that kind of thing, but that's what I'd be concerned about if I'm Lucas Cram. And he got a big shot. The 44 is still not has taken a fast repair. That's my concern if I'm the 44, is a matter of engine damage from that hit to the door.
I think one concern that I have is we have a few of the trucks coming out of pit road right now that just sat there to take damage repair. Gary Sexton did not take a fast repair, and he took a very heavy hit. You can see it on the right side, on the tail end of that car, just around the spoiler on the bumper. He's still got some pretty heavy damage.
Yeah, there's
just how skewed it is.
A lot of right rear damage. It's going to be tough to push him more than anything. The nose is okay. He mostly got hit in the side and rear. It's going to be tough. Dylan Holland right behind him. These guys tail end of the lead lap. Brian Holland has gotten rolling. Well, up front, excuse me, it's going to be all truck 24. So Nick Olson leading. It's Quinn Gingrich on the top side, then Stephen Gale and Lucas Cram all lining up. And Cram did pit. In fact, everybody pitted under this caution. They're all still going to have to hit one more time. I think even with a caution, they have to come in and get a little bit of fuel, a splash and go perhaps. But while these guys have a moment before we go green, Zach, let's take a look at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV. A little bit slower here on the back end of March. We don't have the 3-4 broadcasts a week that we've been having. A little bit of a chance to kind of cool down a little bit as we move into spring, but this Thursday we go racing. In fact, tomorrow night we go racing at the Five Flags Speedway for the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. That'll be the Justin Brooks Designs 125. Then Sunday it's out to Circuit of the Americas with the Icon Cup Series for 50 laps of racing. And Thursday next week, March 28th, Mystery Night for those same super late model drivers. Now Dylan Holland, surprisingly, is packing up on the top side. I'm a little surprised about that. Green flag back in the air, though, at Talladega. We are back green, 25 to go. And already, the top lane going places. The 24 goes nowhere. Hello, Brandon Houff in the middle, bringing the 16 of Ben McDonald. Going to thread the needle as far as he can, and finally the buck stops there.
Just on the back bumper of Lucas Cram, going to push him past Nick Olson. I'm not sure if Nick actually has the capability, arrow-wise, that is, to be able to contend with the 44 and the 9, as they are quickly taking that middle line out in front. Lucas Cram, give it to him by a bumper. He's going to probably lead this lap here at the line. Colby Wells on the back bumper. Robbie Lyons is saying, hello, let me take advantage of that.
It's interesting. Nick Olson was not in that crash. The last caution as we phased through the pace car a little bit. He was not in that crash, but he definitely looked anemic on the restart. As yeah, there goes the 99 up top with the 2. The 24 looked sour to say the least. Maybe he's got a little bit of driveline damage, that it's slow to accelerate, but it's okay at top speed.
It's possible. You can see now that they've gotten hooked up. Nick Olson is definitely hanging with these guys right now, and this is what I'm talking about, Andrew. Nick Olson is more than likely going to be pushing the rest of the night and only hopping out in front when he knows that he's got the run and the capability to move forward. That's just how that aerodynamic works. You want to put it... That was very, very close.
And these guys, they are something else. They are another breed. That's for sure. Oh, Lucas Cram, again, they're another breed, and he's going to quickly get off the nose of the 9 truck. That was sideways. Do I dare take a replay? I dare take a replay. Let's go back. I want to see that catch behind the wheel for the 44. Here it is. Watch the hands. Sideways here. Oh, quick little flick. A Scandi flip almost. Hopefully David Levine watching along gets that reference. He'll get the reference, but yeah, that was really, really quick. That was close.
Looks like Colby Wells is getting left to hang and dry by Robbie Lyons.
Oh no! He absolutely junked him. The 2 is done. There will be no second race win. Well, I say that. I thought he'd taken a faster bear. He hasn't, but this is going to be a challenge for him to get back. You see, the steering wheel is static. That is telling us that he has lost the right front completely. As soon as you lose one of the 2 wheels as far as their connection to the suspension and steering, the iRacing steering freezes, and you can see just how impacted the right front is.
Look at how much it's bouncing down the straightaway.
It's junk.
And it's shaking.
Absolute junk.
It's the same thing we were talking about earlier, Andrew. The self-clears. It can happen both ways. You know, it can happen on the nose and it can happen on the back bumper. I think Colby decided that he's going to try to come down and fall back in line, and I think he just misjudged it.
Watch here. He's just going to look at left, and kapow, there goes Robbie Lyons, done.
Look at them all spread out behind, not trying to run into the back bumper after the checkup started, and Colby Wells is being very apologetic. He says it's not intentional, that he was not meaning to hook him like that. And you can see right here,
man,
that's a big misjudge right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, that wasn't even close. I get it, you're trying to make moves, slice and dice, but buddy, that's not even close to behind the two. Watch it here. Let's see if this is a better view.
There's the move.
Let's slow it down. That's a lot of quarter panel he grabbed.
That's a big amount of quarter panel. You see Lyons' big impact.
That's unfortunate. Robbie Lyons does make it back to the pit lane under his own power, which is important. He's taking his fast repair now, but that's important. That keeps him in this race. He'll be able to get tires on it, fuel, and go back out. He'll stay on the lead lap. He'll get a penalty for pitting in a closed pit, but he had to do that or he was out of this race. If he had towed, he was out. He'd be a lap down or more. And here we go. Everybody hitting the pit lane. Zach, why is this important? Well, when they cross the stripe, they have 20 to go. What is our upper margin for our pit window? 20 laps.
21. Well,
this is exactly this is exactly on the mark. It's 20 or 21 if you save enough. This is right where they need to be.
Shut that motor off under caution. Shut it off. Leave it turned off. You know, get up to pace speed. You see Lucas Cram,
just a splash.
Moody. Just a splash. He's out of the way. He's gonna lead now.
How?
Nick Olson still on the pit lane. He is last of the championship 3 coming off of pit road. Did Olson take tires?
Half did. He took full service. And
he had one truck speeding on pit road.
Olson also taking full service. I think he was speeding.
Colby Wells, black flag. I believe he was... No, Colby Wells was given an EOL. Nick Olson speeding on pit road, I believe. He is dropping like a fly.
Yeah, we have him stopped here on screen. He's the back for sure.
Watching the rest of these trucks right now.
He's still waiting on guys to come out of the pit lane. There's Gary Sexton. Robbie Lyons comes in. He'll have a splash and go. Actually, he's taking tires. Baldeck gets out. Holland and Wells in the pit lane still. If Olson waits on all of them, he's been waiting a while.
Well, he's going to be waiting quite a while, and these trucks are more than likely getting ready to come back around. Light's still on the pace car, so they have the time, as it looks like 84 is also letting trucks by, so it looks like he got a black flag as well. I think this is the last truck that Nick Olson has to let by, actually.
No, the EOL for Colby will keep him back there.
Yeah, that is true, and it looks like... Yeah, Olson is about where he needs to be. Quinn Gingrich looks like he might fall to the back as well.
New paint scheme on the 84. Good to see a new paint. Spirit, sound, and light. I'm sure you can scan that QR code and go somewhere. I haven't done it myself, so I'm not sure where it goes. I'm sure it goes to a website somewhere on the internet, but I'm assuming that's a new organic sim racing sponsor, so that's pretty cool to see. Always good to see new groups getting into sim racing or even just getting on new drivers' trucks or cars. But here we go. Repeat of the mass exodus back to the pits. The 3 trucks staying out. Lucas Cram, Kyle Manger, Indy Cassie. Remember those names. 44, 5, 72.
This is the big move right here. This is going to put most of these trucks about a lap to the good. However, green-white checkers, like we talked about, Andrew, you'll have that 1 lap extra to be able to make it, but you will not have enough if this race goes into a green-white checkered.
I think these guys can. I mean, this is now, we'll have 18 to go, so it's technically 19 now. I think pace car lights have been extinguished. They have. You see Cram on the apron saving. These guys can save here. That usually buys a lap, especially if you're aggressive with saving on the draft. I think they'll have a green-white checkered in them. The guys that just pitted. The guys that pitted the lap prior and not again this lap, it's going to be close. Especially with how aggressive Lucas Cram usually is at trying to stay in the lead. And the only reason you would stay out there is to stay in the lead.
Drew, do you place any bets right now, or do you think that this is going to turn out in Lucas Cram's favor, considering he's the one leading the race right now? Look at him dropping to the apron, saving fuel.
You you know, it's our job, right, to analyze these races and give our best opinion. I'll be honest, right now, I've got nothing for you. I don't know how this race ends. I've got no clue. I thought maybe we had an idea while we were going green, but now we've got caught up in cautions. I think everybody realizing this is the last race of the season. We don't really know if there will be another season in 2024. If so, when will it be? What will it look like? They're taking their chances and getting what they can now. By the way, a big shout out to our partners, and it's like, yeah, hide everything. That was the wrong button hit. A big thank you to our partners, though. A bunch of very good groups. Of course, you see SARG on the top step there, but Sunwest Construction making this possible. Same as Lucky Motorsports Solutions. And the green will come back out. This is going to be a fun one. 18 laps to go.
Look at how separated they are, Andrew. You see these runs coming. They're going to form up, and I wonder where they're going to go.
Oh, my gosh. The 9 and 16.
Big shove.
And they get that top lane going. I mean, they got the 72 and 5 boosted out there. And now McDonald moving around nearly into the 12 of Jones. The 9 moving around to the back end of Cassie. And here come Robbie Lyons.
Sexton.
Oh, Lyons and Olsen, they got going. You're right. Sexton had a big run. These restarts, when they're single file like that, are getting more and more crazy.
Yeah, and now it looks like these trucks are breaking up. Brandon Half seems to be having some connectivity issues.
First time we've seen that.
That could be the saving grace for someone like Nick Olsen, who really needs something to happen to that 9 truck. Yet to use a fast repair, so he's going to need a miracle. As we see these trucks starting to really fall into their groove. Brandon Half moving around a little bit. Lucas Cram moving around a little bit as well. Kyle Major seems to be one of the trucks to beat, and he is leading that bottom line.
Who's going to wreck their friends for $50? This race does pay $50 to win. That's an interesting way to put it there on the back bumper, the tailgate of the 72. But Indy Cassie, pole winner this evening, goes back out front by a nose, a half a truck, something like that, into turn 3. Manger fires back on the bottom side. And Olsen going to go down low. That's following the lane now that Lucas Cram is in.
You know, Andrew, it's funny you mentioned that it's $50 to win tonight. Would you wreck your friends? It reminds me, I don't know if you remember it from a few years back. I'm sure a good friend of ours, David Levine, who's watching this race unfold right now, would probably know what I'm talking about as well. There was an old NASCAR commercial from a few years ago, and it was just the PR team asking all of the Cup Series drivers, would you wreck your grandmother to win a championship? Would you wreck your grandmother to win a race?
I mean, Zach, I'll be honest, I'd wreck you for $50.
Well,
I'd wreck you for 20. I'd wreck you for free.
I was about to say it.
No, I mean, I wouldn't wreck somebody intentionally for $50, but worst case, you split it with them. You both have $25 more than you had at the start of the night.
That is true. Take one for the team, still walk out of here with $25.
Yeah. I see no problem there. That's the bad statement to say. As we were in the booth, and, well, here we go. 15 laps to go. 3 wide, 4 rows deep. 5 rows deep, maybe.
About 4 rows deep.
4.5.
4 1/4.
4 1/3 squirrels. That line was for David, too. Anyways.
I need to move for ice cream now. Don't know why. I feel like ice cream would be great after a race like this.
As we're watching these guys in lockstep formation, 3 wide, we're thinking about squirrels and ice cream. This is a very interesting little situation for these guys. Wells is backing off. Baldeck's backing off. The Holland brothers down low at the tail end of the inside lane. McMillan is there. Then Gingrich and Howell are on their own further back.
The perfect ice cream would be to describe this race, Andrew. Rocky Road.
Oh, okay.
4 rows deep again, 3 wide. As it shakes up, I'm going to do a little bit of math here for a second. As it shakes up, Hal leads over Lucas Cram, who leads over Nick Olsen. Hal pretty much has the championship locked up.
Oh!
By a, oh, look at this, all the way to the bottom. Gavin Jones
Attic to basement. And, you know, Gavin Jones was in the top 10 for weeks on end in points. After last week at Daytona, dropped out of the top 10, I believe, right? Let me check my notes again. I'm pretty sure he was the omission. And, yeah, he was the one driver that dropped out of the top 10 after last week at Daytona. It's interesting that he's been here every race, I believe. Might have missed last week. I don't know. But he's been there so consistently. Drops out, and here he is leading inside of 15 to go. Clearly, he wants to win one of these races before the season's done, as does everybody. But if I was in those shoes, I drop out of the top 10, yeah, I'd go up there and get aggressive. As Graham doesn't like the energy, he's going to drop out, go all the way to the back. Sexton may pick him up.
He can't afford this, Andrew. Lucas Graham cannot afford to be putting himself in a situation that's going to be a detriment, and this might be a mistake, as Gary Sexton is actually leaving Lucas Graham by himself on the bottom.
He'll be okay.
But I think he'll have Dylan Holland's draft here and be able to stay in touch, as Baldeck now leads Lyons and Wells up on the top.
They got out of shape. I think Robbie nearly got the wall.
Just about.
Indy Cassie back to the lead. That is 12 to go. Brandon Half sitting there second on the outside lane. Where are his rivals for the championship? The closest is Nick Olsen down in 8th, as Half currently ticks across the last scoring loop in 5th. Now 4th. Olsen back there, can't go anywhere. That's actually now where Cram is. Lucas is pulled up right to the back end of the 24 car. And there goes Lyons, back up to the top, along with Gary Sexton. Baldeck isn't far back, and there you go. The window opening up for Lucas Cram. There goes Nick Olsen. They want to go to the front. They want to start controlling their destiny.
Gavin Jones had a big wiggle on the bottom as he jumped in line. See Casey taking that lead away. McDonald, excuse me. He's jumping up to the outside line. Nick Olsen with him.
That actually really helped them. For a moment through the trial, well, that actually really helped the top lane get going. McDonald moving up, and you see Cram has gone back down to the inside, right in the middle of this pack, and it's a tough spot to be in. And now, Brandon Half right next to Nick Olsen. They're alongside each other, but Nick Olsen needs what? We figured out about 12, 14 points, something like that. That many positions on the racetrack over the 9 truck. That's just, at this point, starting to get more and more unrealistic. It'll be 10 to go at the stripe this time by.
If I'm doing the math correctly, Olsen, because he led a lap, Brandon Half led a lap. I believe Graham also led a lap, so they've all collected a bonus point if that's available. As it runs, Olsen is about 8 points behind Brandon Half. And Lucas Graham, I believe, sits about 7 points, if I'm not mistaken.
They've got to beat the 9 by a lot. I mean, at least 6 spots if you're Lucas Cram. At least 6 spots.
13 spots if you're Nick Olsen.
It's a big ask. I mean, this guy's been fantastic. I think we've talked to him every week but once or twice. The 9, he hasn't won a race yet, but he's been in the conversation every single week. He's been in the top 3, top 5, it feels like every single week. There's a reason he's leading the points without a race win. He and Lucas both have been so consistent, and Lucas has been a little more aggressive, so a little more inconsistent with finishing position, but he's been so consistently out front that he gets so many stage points it makes up for it, even when he gets collected in something.
See the bottom line stacking right there. Gavin Jones moving backwards as the top 2 lines form up. McDonald pushing his truck, edging Nick Olsen, but here comes Casey in the 72 to the bottom. The middle line checks up a little bit, and that bottom line reforms and gets about 2 truck lengths out in front. Gavin Jones.
Oh, big block from Cassie in the 72.
That could have been dicey, as these trucks are still just trying to fall in line. Might get 4 wide here, still holding 3.
Cassie getting shaken from the 12, and he's going to go 4 wide now in the middle, and he's going to go all the way to the back. Pole sitter.
Nicholson and McDonald.
Pole sitter Indy Cassie to the back end of this group. Side by side now, down low, the 5 and the 12. Oh, Nick Olsen in the wall, and hooked around.
Across the field.
Gary Sexton hard in the inside wall. Caution is out. Quinn Gingrich is in it.
Oh, look at that truck. It is destroyed.
And
He
that,
is crab walking.
thankfully, those 3 trucks still had not taken their fast repair. There's Gingrich.
This is going to set us up for a sprint to the finish here, Andrew.
Oh, man. Gary's...
Look at Sexton. He's got his left front completely disconnected. Yeah, he's holding that wheel to the left. He's trying to do what he can to limp that truck back around.
It's at least there, but every suspension component that would hold it in a straight line is broken. For Nick Olson, that is a big, heavy hit, and that, I believe, was off the nose of the 2 of Robbie Lyons, which has been a rarity. Robbie has not really caused many incidents this season. We'll even see if this is really his fault or not, but you see Cassie get put 4. He's going to go back.
Right here.
Jones fills in low. Yeah. I guess the 12 a little bit loose. Hauff is caught there in the middle. He backs out. Robbie Lyons stuck up top, and Nick Olson was low, but Robbie just got to the outside of the 24. That was going to be 5 wide, and there's not room for that.
Yeah, but you could see there, Lyons actually snapped loose just briefly when he jumped out of the gas. That's a big thing. He was making the transition from the banking to the straightaway, and the truck jumped loose when he said he jumped off the throttle. There's the push from Sexton. You see, there's the jump, and then there's the contact.
Yeah, the 3 was in the bumper there of the 2. That was a big hit for Sexton and Gingrich both. I think in technicality, that was off the nose of Robbie, so it's technically on the 2. But I think if we go back here and watch from the 3's onboard, this might be exacerbated, I think is the word. I think you could call him the catalyst in all of this, because it puts Lyons in that bad spot, and that's what right hooks Olson into the fence, and then Olson comes down and gets the 3, who ends up getting the 84, and wow, that's a hard hit. I recall years ago Chris Cockrum took a big hit to the inside like that. It's not quite the same, but it's the only thing that I can think of that looks any kind of close to that.
Jordan Anderson's hit at Talladega not a few years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe not the same angle after making contact with a truck, but on the initial contact to the wall when Sexton hit it, it definitely looked very similar.
Thankfully, though, neither of those trucks on fire. That's a big difference there. Now,
or a driver hanging outside the window.
Right. Nobody... Well, no. Nick Olson actually has taken his fast repair. Robbie Lyons, of course, had to earlier. Gary Sexton and Quinn Gingrich both had to there. Otherwise, they would have been in the pits for a long time. So very, very important that they do. And that's that, really. That's the season for the 24. If he gets caught up in anything here, he's done. And now he's in the back, 9th.
He's got ground to make up. And even then, he still needs a miracle to happen to the 9 and the 44. With these stage points coming into play. This is what we were talking about earlier, Andrew. These stage points were going to come into play, and they were going to make this championship fight all the more interesting. As you see all these trucks running the apron, saving as much gas as they can. And
you want to make things interesting? You want to talk to Lucas Cram?
Ooh, you know what? As much as I would love to, I think we need to pass. These drivers are getting locked in. They've got 5 laps to go when we hit the line here, and we're not even going green yet. I think we should leave these drivers alone, let them focus, and really let them do their thing. They've got a lot to worry about right now.
And that's the exact reason I'm going to talk to Lucas Cram, because if there's anybody that we can talk to and he can stay focused, I think it's this 44 truck. Lucas, a very stressful race, maybe, perhaps. So at least that's what it looks like from our point of view. What is it like behind the wheel?
It's been stressful. It's been a stressful couple weeks. Excuse my lack of a voice. I've been sick all week, unfortunately. But yeah, it's been a long time. Just every race this season, I feel like I've been up front, and I kind of got moved out of the way or turned or something happens that kind of puts me out of it at the end, and I have to come to the back. So unintentionally, I've only led like 3 or 4 laps I think in this race. So maybe I'm kind of doing the opposite effect this week. Just hope to be up here at the end.
10 laps actually led by that 44 truck. You'll have 4 to go when we go green, though. And I'll try to... We'll just ask you the one question, so you don't have to talk too much. Don't stress your voice too much. But this has been a really interesting race. Of course, you lost a bunch of stage points to Brandon at the end of the stage. I think the gap is now, what, 6 points or so?
7, I think, yeah.
Yeah, 6 or 7. That's a big, steep hill to climb on a plate track like this. How do you put yourself in position to hopefully take advantage of whatever may happen to Brandon in these last 4 laps?
Well, providing we keep him boxed in down here on the inside, I like where he's at right now, because I get free reign on like the end of last week. I'm on the top side, he's boxed at the bottom behind Steve and Gavin up there. So I'm just hoping the bottom checks up and he stays boxed in down there. We make some hay up here, and I don't know, anything goes. It's gonna be tough, but I think I gotta get ourselves a W here if we can.
We've already spoken to Brandon once this evening after he went second at the stage. Lucas, good to talk to you. Best of luck. It's gonna be fun these last 4 laps.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Enjoy it.
Might even be more than 4 laps here, but for truck 44, maybe the numerology is there. Truck 44, 4 laps to go, and I'm sure he just wants to get out of here because he sounds sick.
Well, he also sounds confident in his ability. And, you know, Andrew, I'm going to say this real quick before we turn these trucks loose for hopefully one more restart. But first thing that came to my mind when you pulled Lucas Graham in here, this is one thing the viewers don't know, is that Andrew and I are really great friends behind the camera. First thing was have mercy. And Andrew asked why I say that so much, and told him I've been watching Full House, and you know what he told me? He told me to cut it out. And you can't see it, but I did make the hand motions just now.
Oh gosh. Well, 4 laps to go. We're going to cut these guys loose. How about that? Gavin Jones, Kyle Manger, front row. Green flag back in the air. 4 laps to go in the season and the Motorscape.News 200.
Great restarts from both of these trucks on the front row, that is, and it looks like Gavin Jones is going to be able to get the push here. Brandon Half right behind him.
Through the gears, back onto the Alabama Gang Super Stretch. Jones going to move up and block that 5 truck. That now opens up most recent Talladega winner, Stephen Gale, on the bottom, and this pushes the 44 of Lucas Cram back now to 9th, 10th, and Brandon Half going to break through to 3rd.
So Lucas Graham still locked into that 2nd place in the championship because Nick Olson, like we said, he needs to make things happen. He needs to get that truck out there and do everything he possibly can, which is lock up a win tonight. He's 4th in line on the bottom, and that top line is trying to form up what it can at the stripe. Gavin Jones, I think, led that lap.
Whoa, a 44 up top with the 3 of Gary Sexton pushing it.
The moves that need to be made. We're coming to 2 laps to go pretty soon.
Oh, Gavin Jones, hang on. Here comes Colby Wells now leading the top side. Everybody is pushing without relent. They are just going for it.
And it looks like Nick Olson sees that the top line's moving. He's shifting up there to the middle line at least. Can't get up there. Gary Sexton to his outside at the moment. There's a lot of moving around right now, Andrew. These drivers are not holding back. They want to get this win. This is the great thing that I love about racing, is that everyone has a shot to take a win every single week. This is not your normal playoffs where it's just 2 teams. Everybody's out here making it happen.
2 to go at the stripe. Popsicle sticks in the air. Everybody is moving left, right, and in the middle, Nick Olson going straight backwards. Manger down below the yellow line. Will that stand? I don't think he was forced. I think that was a choice to go there.
Jumping back to the middle now. He's blocking as many runs as he possibly can. You said Nick Olson was dropping backwards. He took Lucas Cram with him. Cram jumps to the top now. He's 3rd in line behind Sexton. Gavin Jones up there as well.
The middle went nowhere.
That is dropping like a rock. Andrew, they're coming through 3 and 4. The white flag is going to be out soon. If there's going to be a caution, it's got to happen now.
What's we in here on the stripe? To the front, Andy Cassie, pole sitter this evening, going to lead us through the tri-oval. For the penultimate time, white flag is out, this time by on the season for the SARG Superspeedway Series, brought to you by Sunwest Construction. 1 lap to go, brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. 3 wide, 3 rows deep, with an extra couple in the back. What's going to happen this last lap of the season?
Gavin Jones really trying to make that outside line work. You see Sexton coming with the push. He has got Lucas Cram and Robbie Lyons right behind him. Cram is actually now, I believe he's 4th in line, and Half is 10th.
Half is moving back.
He is very close to losing it.
There's a possibility here, although Half now back ahead of the 44. I think the 9 is going to wrap up a title. It's a little too early to say, but into the trioval for the final time this season. Major in the middle, Cassie down low. On top has been McDonald. A crash in the back across the stripe. Indy Cassie from pole to checkered wins the final race of the season, the Motorscape.News 200. Brandon Half, your champion, will finish 5th. The 44 of Lucas Cram, dead last. Dead last.
That should secure Nick Olson into the 2nd place for the championship tonight.
Let's dial somebody up here. On the last lap, we talked to him after stage 1. He said he was just trying to be the first champion not named Lucas or Cram. Brandon, you're our champion. How's it feel?
Oh, it's a relief. That was a a stressful last lap. Oh man, I don't even know how to feel. Wow. I could tell you right now, I did not expect to finish 5th after the way that last lap was going. My gauges were blinking literally from the start finish line, or turn 4 with 2 to go, and I didn't lift until probably turn 4 of 1 to go.
Insanity.
Oh, man.
Insanity those last few laps, but you put yourself where you need to be. Lucas ends up crashed out in the back. You only had 3 laps led and no race win, but this has to be the most satisfying finish of the season for you, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, I haven't won a race, and I hate that I haven't won, but I mean, consistency wins these championships when there's no playoffs like we've had. So I mean, listen, I'll take all the top 5s versus all the wins and no championship. So, oh man, this is pretty good. I'm pretty excited right now. This is like I said, I was pretty stressed there the last 5 laps trying to figure out what to do. But man, I appreciate Steve for just holding it, and I know I had really no help behind me, but man, I'll take it.
Absolutely. Our champion this season in the SARG Superspeedway Series. I'll add that it's unofficial, but I don't see it changing. Truck number 9, oh so consistent. Of course, you guys do a lot, though, on iRacing, not just this Superspeedway Series. Before we let you go for the season, what else are you in? Where else can we see the name Brandon Half on iRacing?
I'm pretty much running anything. I mean, I run a lot of official. I've been running the Road to Pro Series qualifying round. I've been running that the last 2 weeks. You can find me there, I don't know, probably 5th, 6th split these days.
Hey, you're right there with me then. 5th split.
Yep. We had a pretty good race at Atlanta. I got P5 last time, so can't complain. But yeah, and Grip Marketing, I know, do a lot. Kyle Dagger and everybody along the ride with me. I know we've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now. Pretty cool deal. I know we've stuck together through all the Road to Pro stuff and, you know, league stuff and SARG and, you know, whatever else. But yeah, I'll be around. I'm around iRacing all the time. I don't plan on going anywhere. So probably next race you'll catch me in is probably the Road to Pro next Thursday, I believe. I think at Richmond. So yeah, I'm just it's my first championship in anything, so I'm pretty stoked right now.
Brandon, good to talk to you. Congratulations. Go party a bit, relax a little, and get ready for Road to Pro.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you for everything this season. Thank you for what you do. Great broadcast, great stream, great everything. So appreciate it. And,
appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, thank Grip for everything. Thank Lucas and Robbie for all they do for the league. And yeah, just thank everybody for a good season.
Good to have you here, Brandon. And that is your series champion this season, Brandon Half. When it's all said and done, your champion. Let's take a look back at your unofficial race results briefly before we get to our race winner and his teammate. It looks like Kyle Manger finishing right with him. Up front, Indy Cassie at checkers, Kyle Manger second, Stephen Gale your top 3, Nick Olson finishes 4th, Brandon Howe 5th. What a stacked front end of the field here, Zach. I mean, just incredible the way it all ran out.
Yeah, Indy Cassie able to put it from pole to the win. It's a very, very hard thing to do here at Talladega, but good to see someone be able to do that here tonight. And Kyle Manger and Stephen Gale absolutely great in their top 3 positions. Nick Olson did everything he could, did everything that he pretty much could do, which was put himself in front of the 9, put himself in front of the 44, and hope that something would play in his favor. Unfortunately, it didn't exactly work out for him tonight, but he's still walking out of here with second place in the championship. You got McDonald, Gingrich, Jones, McMillan, and Wells rounding out your top 10, and only 7 other trucks after that, and still just absolutely a solid race tonight.
Well, Indy Cassie is your Motorscape.News 200 race winner. And as you take a look at the rest of the field, let's bring in driver 72, who was able to celebrate a win this evening at Talladega Superspeedway. Not just a win of the Motorscape.News 200, but Indy, you do it from pole position. That's not easy. How about those last few laps, though, from the restart to the end, 4 laps, and somehow you come out on top?
Yeah, no, that was I shocked myself there. I didn't really think I had a chance because, like, coming to 2 to go, I was like 5th on line on the bottom. Like, that's not generally where you want to be here because it kind of limits your options because you can't just like turn right into somebody. But somehow I think the middle or the top got like checked up some, and we just had a big run on the bottom, and I was able to clear Kyle, and then we just kind of controlled it from there.
And of course, you're kind of in that same group along with guys like Lucas Cram, Nick Olson, kind of in that friend group. What was it like not being in the championship battle, but I guess being proxied all of that? Was there a lot of stress going on in the rest of the field while you and Kyle are able to just focus on trying to win the race, which you did? I mean, what was that dynamic like on the racetrack?
Yeah, I mean, we were just all season we were pretty much just there, just trying to have good runs and end up winning a race. Because I mean, we were really close a couple times. We thought we had it won last time we were here, and we got turned on the back straight. But yeah, I mean, the truck, I wasn't partial at all for who I wanted to win the championship. But with the Nick Olson People's Champ on the front of the truck this week. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, it's really no stress. I mean, we were just out there just racing, like didn't have to worry about points or anything. So it made it enjoyable and no pressure.
Well, Indy, it's good to finally talk to you, especially as a race winner from pole, no less, at Talladega. You were up through the entire field. You were in every single position, 1st to 17th, 8 laps led. Congratulations, and hopefully we're talking to you again in the future.
Thank you.
Indy Cassie, a really good chance to catch up with a driver that we've seen so much this season, but have heard so little about and have not heard from at all yet. And his teammate, Zach, Kyle Manger, finishes 2nd, right behind him.
Yeah, Kyle Manger, absolutely a stellar race tonight. Led a probably race high, 17 laps. And Kyle, you did an absolutely outstanding job to put that truck in a position where you could win the race. You were one of the most dominant trucks of the night, to be perfectly honest. How does it feel to bring it home just 1 spot short here tonight?
It feels pretty good because I haven't talked to you guys all year. Hasn't been a great year for me, but we tried to end the year strong. Wanted to go out as with a win, or at least the best I can. And and like you said, I left everything out there tonight. It was a fun race. Glad Indy got the win, and I'm glad to come home 2nd to end the season.
Well, I'm sure Andrew and I are both sharing the same sentiment of welcoming you for the first time to the Pit Stop TV booth. And the race as a whole just kind of started turning on its head towards the end there, and you were still able to hold on, take that 2nd place, and you were able to put yourself, like we said just a second ago, in a good spot tonight. Do you think maybe, should the seasons keep on rolling with this lead, do you think you got a good shot rolling for another championship, or at least rolling for a 1st championship?
Yeah, hopefully. Been close a few times, but yeah, I mean, there's a good group of drivers here. Not easy to get wins or fight for championships, but yeah, I like the group we have, and I hope we can keep building on this with you guys as well. Big thanks to Pit Stop TV. I've watched every broadcast, and I've been blown away by the coverage every time. So yeah, hope things to continue, and we'll try to work things out here in the future.
Well, it's great to have you in the booth, and I'm sure Andrew will absolutely appreciate the sentiments of how the Pit Stop TV coverage has gone. He
Definitely
puts a lot of hard work in for the production and getting these cams and doing everything that we can do to make sure that you guys are doing amazing here tonight. And again, congratulations on the 2nd place finish.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Hope to talk to you more next year.
Absolutely. Kyle Manger, your 2nd place finisher here tonight. And Andrew, I just said it. I'm sure you really appreciate what Kyle had to say when it comes to the production here at Pit Stop TV.
Absolutely. Really do appreciate all the kind words from the series, and it's been an outpouring of support all season long is the best way to put it. We do quickly want to try or going down and talk to. We don't have Stephen Gale, from what I can tell. Oh, we do actually. So we'll get Stephen. That'll be our. We'll get Stephen quickly, and then we'll grab Nick Olson as well, and we'll try to get out of here without taking too long. But Stephen Gale, third place at the end. You were a winner last time out here. What were those last few laps like?
It was laps. Just being pushed by Brandon, hoping to win. Sadly, that did not happen, but a top 3 is nice.
Definitely a good way to end the season out, of course. We saw a lot of you in the top 10 for sure. You'll end up finishing somewhere in the top 10 of standings. In fact, unofficially, it looks like... hang on. I'm looking through the list. Why don't I... Oh, there we go. 6th place. Not too bad when it's all said and done. I'd say a successful season. Would you agree?
It's my highest points position so far. Top 10 in every race I've been in, so I can't complain about that.
Absolutely good way to look at it. Steven, it's good to talk to you again. I know a little bit abbreviated here, but congratulations on the top 3. A few laps led and a solid day to end the season.
Thank you.
Stephen Gale there, 3rd place across the line. And Zach, that means Nick Olson is the only championship driver we've not spoken to yet this evening. Here he is.
Yeah, Nick absolutely put it all out there, did everything he could, trying to bring home a championship. But Nick, you just ended up falling about 1 spot short in the final point standings. Just kind of walk us through how the race went for you, and if you still thought maybe even after stage 1 that realistically there was still a shot to win this championship.
No, I think after the stage ended, I pretty much knew my fate. I knew Brandon pretty much had it under wraps. I knew Lucas would be close, but I didn't think it was going to be close enough. Brandon's way too smart with these kind of races. I knew he was going to play it right. We just didn't get the stage points we needed. And after the situation after last week, taking my stage points away, which I fully support, that put us in a hole instead of being up, hypothetically. So I knew we were going to have to claw out of it, and with a limited field tonight, 17 trucks is better than last week, but I knew it was going to have to be a win, and Brandon was going to have a problem, and I knew Brandon's way too smart with this kind of stuff. He was going to lay back, take it easy, and then when it was go time, of course, he was going for the win, but we ran our guts out all year, won 3 races. I'm super thrilled about that. I think 2nd in the points. So we'll happily take that to the bank.
Well, you certainly did a good job tonight, and you end up falling about 14 points shy of Brandon Houff at the end of the season tonight, but you still put up a great fight. Probably, if Andrew can actually correct me on this one, I believe you had the most wins in the series this season with 3.
The only multi-time winner.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. I appreciate that. Yeah, we had a great year. I'm really not upset about anything. Obviously, would love to bring home the hardware, but just not meant to be. Racing among my peers, these are the races I value the most, and these are some of my best friends out here. So it's an honor to share the track with them and go to battle every week. And yeah, there's bent fenders and hurt feelings, but that's part of the game as well. So congrats to Indy and Kyle on a great run tonight. They were due. They've been up there all year, and so I'm glad they got their 1-2 for IKR. And congrats to Brandon. Nice to see Team Grit at least getting a championship. That's always great. Think we went 1, 2, 3 in points here, so so much to be excited about. Obviously 1 spot short in the final points, but it's hard to be upset about the season we had.
Well, Nick, I think we speak for everyone here when we say you did put up an amazing fight this season, and we congratulate you at least on bringing home a 2nd place finish, just about 4 points over Lucas after that last lap incident. But hey, it's 1 spot higher than where you were coming into this race, and I'm sure you're still happy to take away with that.
Oh, absolutely. And lastly, I do want to thank you guys, Andrew, Zach. Obviously, I've known you guys for a while, and you guys put on a great show for us all year, so really appreciate you guys stepping up and broadcasting our races. I really feel like we put some really good product out there to watch, so hopefully it's been exciting and down to the last lap.
It absolutely was, and thank you for being quite an outstanding competitor this season as well. Congratulations on your 2nd place in the championship.
Hey, thanks guys.
Appreciate all the kind words from the entire series, really. Not just Nick, not just any one of these drivers, but really well received this season. And to come in after years of these guys racing together, that is very much appreciated. This, I believe, is 2 laps to go, or was this the end? Well, I guess we'll find out here in a second with the crash. There it is. So that is the finish with Sean Howell and Gary Sexton in the wall, and that was the finish across the stripe. There you see just how close it was to Nick Olson having a top 3 at the end, and there was one truck up and over. Want to watch this back 1 or 2 more times to understand how everything happens. And Zach, looking back at it that time, it looks like Brandon Houff is actually part of this crash at the end. It ends up bouncing off of his door, it looks like.
Just a tad. You can see bounce right there. Brandon Houff and Nick Olson made contact, and then there's the contact in the back. And
one truck going to go over here in the crash into turn 1. That's the 84 of Quinn Gingrich. Jeez.
Still wrecking. Oh my goodness. Multiple trucks involved right there.
It's a restrictor plate league, checkered flag on the season, not just on the race. It's going to kind of devolve a little bit. That's to be expected. But here is the crash from Lucas Cram's perspective. That absolutely, he was already behind, but ends up completely ruining his day and, well, putting him last across the line.
Just a stack up right there, and multiple trucks going for the same real estate. And, well, not everyone can own the same property on the racetrack, unfortunately. And looks like Lucas Cram was the one who got the receiving end of all of that. And you can see after the line right here.
And checkers are out here, so it doesn't really matter. But, man, what a ride Gingrich takes after the crash or 2 that he went through today. And a rough season, certainly, for that 84 truck. I think here every single race and just fed a lot of bad luck. Let's take a ride on board for this crash. Up and over, and wow.
One thing that I actually did not realize coming into tonight, I did not know that Nick Olson had his stage points taken away from last week.
Oh, that's a big difference. And that
he did comment on it in his interview that we just gave with him not too long ago, and that would actually play into the points total, because we were going off the total that we had from last week, and with Nick losing his stage points, that's 10 points that he was trying to dig himself out of.
Yeah, and that's why he was 4 behind, or 6 behind rather, when we thought he would be right there with those guys. That's the finish across the stripe. But that explains a whole lot, really, about how this ends up kind of going down. And I understand the decision for sure. It was aggressive racing there at the end of the stage, and I referenced it a time or two this evening when they got going real aggressive here tonight. But you know what? Season's over. Congratulations, Brandon Houff. Just what a season of racing. And Zach, we can bring up this graphic for the final time this season. You know what we can do?
What?
We can draw a big ol' check mark. Season done. And Brandon Houff is your series champion. What a show, too, that they put on. I mean, the fact that Lucas was crashed on the last lap, he finished just over a second behind the winner, and he finished last. I mean, I know we only had 17 trucks, a little bit lower of a car count than we would like, but everybody on the lead lap at the end. Nobody fell out of the race. The whole field within 1 second. That's pretty impressive stuff here for the series, and I think all season long they put on great shows. Definitely has been a pleasure covering this series and covering this race in particular, thanks to Motorscape.News, Britt Baldeck, Gary Sexton, and everybody over there at that team. Really respect what they're doing and appreciate that they were able to come on board this evening and be a part of the series before the season was done. They've been a force for sure, with one of them getting the race win at Legacy Daytona. Brett Baldeck talking to us a couple of times this season, some really good runs. It's good to see the Motorscape.News name on more than just their trucks and on the race as a whole this evening. Before we go, let's take a look at what we have upcoming here at Pit Stop TV. Next up, it's out to 5 Flags, and Zach, this is quite the lineup for a week and a half or so of racing. 5 Flags, Coda, and then a mystery night. We don't even know where we're racing yet on March 28th.
I kind of want to take some guesses as to where they will be racing that Thursday. I think that there's a lot of great tracks that they could take those super late models to, and not only the fact that the tracks are great themselves, the racing in that series has been absolutely amazing. I think 5 Flags is going to put on a great show. You've got a few of these drivers who compete, a few of these drivers in the SARG series that do actually compete, in a lot of the local short tracks around here, and most of them, I believe, have actually turned laps at 5 Flags, not to mention a few of the other tracks on the schedule that they have. So to see them going to 5 Flags, especially with the super late model, that's going to be great. And the mystery track, if I had to take a guess, Andrew, personally, I think it's going to be, well, ever seen a super late model on dirt?
Well, it won't be on dirt, I'll tell you that. That would be interesting. But you know, some drivers have kind of alluded to maybe the possibility of a road course, or at least hoping that maybe it's a road course or something like that.
Yes, please.
I mean,
we have covered leagues in the past that have utilized super late model stock.
Yep, the Noble Can-Am series.
They did it in a sort of a Trans Am type style, and you know, I think that would be a really great thing to try. They'd have to make a setup for it. I do know the super late model has a road course setup though, so that would be a really great thing to try for them.
Yeah, you know, it's a possibility, and of course, their open setup. I think the possibilities are endless. I think it's going to be a more traditional short track, but we'll see. We'll see March 28th where we end up unloading and having a race at. It's just been a pleasure once again. You saw partners up on the screen. We'll do it one more time. A big thank you to Sunwest Construction, Motorscape.News, Lucky Motorsports Solutions, even being a part of this series and supporting our efforts here with the SARG Superspeedway Series and Pit Stop TV. It's a pleasure, and congratulations to Indy Cassie on the race win this evening, Brandon Half on the championship, and everybody else, because that was a damn good season. I'll say it, a damn good season to finish things out. And just in general, 7 races, every single one of them was fun. Even with the lower car count at times, you guys really impressed me. So it was just good to be here for the SARG Superspeedway Series. Hopefully, it's not the end. If it is, thank you guys. Lucas Cram, Robbie Lyons, all of you, thank you guys. It has been a pleasure. And Zach, that's a wrap. Do you have any more final statements, closing thoughts?
Please give me more. Do not let this end here. I think there's so much passion in the project that they have rolling here, and I think there's a lot of great drivers that they've allowed to become staples in this league, and I think that there's a lot of potential to be made here. I think that a lot of things can turn around and put them in a really good standpoint. And I was actually thinking about this league, not even just yesterday while I was out doing Uber rides, just trying to find money for my actual race car, and I was like, you know what? I think this league could do a lot of cool things. I think if they are to go to another season, I think another season of 8 races would be great. Add a 9th race on there, an all-star race at maybe iRacing Superspeedway. You know, it's already taken out of context with a lot of great things, and a lot of great leagues utilize it for a lot of cool things. And I think an all-star race to just kind of throw these guys for a loop, keep them on a super speedway, keep rolling with the name, and maybe even switch it up a few different tracks. Maybe rolling to Atlanta a few more times throughout the season, maybe cutting down on the amount of Talladega races and swapping out for a few Daytona races, cut the field into a bit of a tighter spot than Talladega and see where they can do it from there. And I think there's a lot of great things they can do with this league. I really, really do.
Been a pleasure for sure. We appreciate everything everybody's done. That has been the Motorscape.News 200 and the Sunwest Construction SARG Superspeedway Series, brought to you by Sunwest Construction and Lucky Motorsports Solutions. That'll do it for us this evening. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. Zach Murtis has joined me for a couple of races this season. It's been a pleasure. And a big shout out to the groups at the bottom of your screen now in audio: ATVO, Whiplash Simcams, OBS, and iRacing.com, making these broadcasts possible. We'll see you next time, hopefully tomorrow night, when we take super late models to 5 Flags Speedway. How about that for a combo? Down to Pensacola we go. Make sure to join us tomorrow night, 9:45 Eastern. We'll see you there.